If you've ever had a conversation go really sideways, you've probably stopped and looked back at what happened and then worked to figure out where things got off track. If you have a high level of ownership, you may have tied yourself in knots identifying what you did wrong. Sometimes you may attribute a bad outcome to what you think of as a bad decision or a bad process on your part, even if that wasn't the real cause. In cases where you're thinking, man, how did I mess this up? Remember, you may not have. One of my favorite books is called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. Now, she was not only a psychologist, she was also a professional poker player. And the book is about decision making using poker as a reference point. And in the book, she brings up this term resulting. That was new for me. And apparently it's where a player can inaccurately connect the outcome of a hand to a particular decision or process that they used during the hand. Now, this is really damaging for learning and internal feedback loops when we have a good outcome after a bad decision or a bad outcome after a good decision. It's easy to combine the two together when actually they're really different. And as expensing as resulting can be in a game of poker, it's incredibly costly when interacting with other people. So it's important to know that we'll never know everything that's going on for someone, like how they're seeing and processing a situation at that particular place and time. How people are really showing up to any conversation is unknown and uncontrollable. So in the sense of poker, the people we interact with are the wild cards. So let's say you support Ryan with accountability and you get a poor response. Perhaps Ryan gets highly animated with lots of emotion, or maybe he just shuts down and simply stops interacting. It could be tempting to think that your process was flawed and to abandon it. The reason this is so important is because if you do a good job holding a team member accountable and they have a really poor response, well, you still may have done your part really well. And in that case, it's critical to separate the bad result from the good process. So if you hold Ryan accountable in a thoughtful and supportive way and he flips out, that doesn't mean it's time for you to stop providing thoughtful and supportive accountability. It says so much more about Ryan and how he's receiving and processing accountability that day. And remember, the poor outcome could absolutely be a result of factors outside of your control. The wild card of how Ryan is feeling, thinking, and responding in that moment. It could even be a result of how Ryan has had previous experiences in his life related to accountability. So how come this distinction between process and outcome is so important? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, you only control your part. You only control your process. You don't control the outcome. The outcome is a result of your process and all the other players. So it's incredibly likely that you will at some point work with someone who responds poorly to a healthy and supportive conversation, especially if it's uncomfortable. That may be you being clear about their part, practicing accountability, or giving feedback, and they aren't used to hearing that. So it's essential to not water down or stop using these powerful tools just based off of a poor response. When leaders we work with admit to changing a good process after a bad outcome, they said that they eventually felt powerless and so frustrated. They'll say things like, man, I tried holding him accountable. It was a dumpster fire of a conversation, so I quit doing that crap. Now I don't know what to do. Many leaders we work with have shared stories just like this, and you may have some of those stories too. It's common for successful executives to realize that they stopped using healthy and supportive tools with someone because the outcome wasn't good, even if the process itself was really solid. We help them separate outcome from process and really look at the two pieces clearly and independently. So as you review challenging situations that don't go the way you expected, take time to differentiate your process from the outcome. As you reflect on your part with a clearer mindset around these two pieces, you may just realize that your process was fine, that you were on the money. If you really aren't sure, drop us a line and we'll give you a hand. Good luck.